What is going on, everybody? It is February 14th, 2024. Day log episode of NQ and the live stream review. So if you guys were in attendance today, I think it was probably one of the best live streams I've had, personally. From my perspective in terms of just watching what played out, I think it was just such a great experience, especially if I was a student watching that. I think I would have been very satisfied with the content. I wouldn't have changed a thing. So if you guys were there for it and you were able to experience it, let me know your thoughts below and what you were thinking throughout the entire session and how a lot of things were unfolding. So I took a loss in the beginning of the session, not the beginning, I'd say midway through Silver Bullet. And then about 10 minutes after, about 15 minutes after, I was able to go back into the market and profit. So I understand live streaming it's a difficult task to deal with a chat, and I try my best. Again, I'm human. I try my best to not get distracted because I know there's many of you who don't really want to even pay attention to that, and you're just here to learn. And I understand that. And I'm really speaking to all of you who just want to learn and sit down and not deal with any of the drama. But unfortunately, I have to deal with some of it. I don't want to. I mean, obviously it's not something I want to do, but it's the pros and the cons of live streaming and having the chat. I'm always going to keep the chat open because there's some really good questions. And if some of you are actually genuine and you want to reach out, I mean, I'm more than happy to help all of you. That's why I'm here. So I'm doing my absolute best, man. I really am. I've really put so much effort and care into this content. I really, really do. Sounds corny and whatever, but I really do care, man. And it upsets me at times when people are, you know, super critical over things. It's like, man, you have no idea how hard I work just to provide this content that's completely for free. So take it with a little bit of appreciation. I just want to get that off my chest. As far as today and the rest of the week goes, I will cover today in the trade that unfolded. But as far as everything that's playing out, I'm curious to see what happens. We have 2 days left. I don't know off the top of my head. I can check the calendar while I'm on this video here. Let me see. So tomorrow we have a lot of red folders. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tomorrow. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's all before the open. So that is an hour before the open. We have core retail sales, about 4 red folders. It's going to get volatile in here tomorrow. And same with Friday, we have core PPI. So it'll be fun to see what happens. The weekly time frame to me, as far as the weekly candle, I don't have a direction. We could keep expanding higher. As I discussed yesterday, if you watch the daily log, just looking at basic market structure and looking at this dealing range, we dropped down into the discount. That's the reason why I was leaning on the bullish idea today. So for those of you asking, like, man, why did you there were some comments about, me taking the loss, and that's because I was staying within the narrative. I couldn't see that loss coming, and if I could have, obviously I would have stayed out of it. And that's just part of being a trader and an analyst is you're going to get some things wrong. You're going to misread it. But being able to go back into the market with confidence and executing the exact same model that you just took the loss on and executing it the exact same way with no fear, you're unfazed by it because you know this model works. Sometimes you read the market incorrectly as a human, and that's all it is. You're never going to reach a point where you can't unsee a loss. You can't see that loss coming. And I know that's some news to all of you who are brainwashed by social media and all of this, all the profit, the whole lifestyle all the time. I mean, that's not the reality of it. I don't care who you're learning from. You're going to lose a lot. So I try to make this so realistic and so transparent to all of you. I think it's such a reality hit to so many people when they see me take a loss. It's like, wow, that's a thing. People take losses. It's like, yeah, of course, man. As a consistent profitable trader, you're taking losses and you're taking probably a good amount of them. But if you do your math correctly, you do your risk management correctly, and you prepare your psychology right, you're going to overseed your losses over a period of time. It takes time to overseed some losses and be getting yourself out of drawdown. So you have to understand that. There's no other way to put it. And if that's a reality check to you, then you need to understand what is really going on in trading. So today, as far as where we're at, coming into the morning session, I was annotating a few levels, and I was annotating how the daily time frame, what I just annotated, we were still in a bullish dealing range. We took out sell side liquidity yesterday, on Tuesday, which was yesterday, took out sell side on CPI, and then we're rallying higher. So during the session, we started to climb above A, this inversion, and B, we started to get above this SIBI. So in my eyes, when I took that long, I was anticipating exactly what unfolded in the aftermath of the PM session. I was just a little bit obviously early to that rally higher, and I was incorrect on that read. But overall, when I look at today and the closure of it, I was still on point. I was still exactly fitting within the narrative and what I was looking for. I was just a little bit early to the party, and you take a loss sometimes. I couldn't unsee that loss. And I don't think there's anything that would ever in the future prevent me from taking that loss. It's something that I'm just going to have to probably continuously eat throughout the rest of my career. And I'm happy with that. I'm content with that. I don't think many of you understand that is you're going to just continuously take losses that you'll never be able to learn from to prevent. Like there's as many losses as you have throughout your career, you're never going to be able to fix all of them. You're never going to be able to not see that coming. It's just simply the part of it. It's simply the part of being in trading and the variables that are put at our feet and the probabilities that we have. So you need to accept that, get used to it, and be able to manage that type of reaction that you have to a loss and be able to just get back into the market with the exact same logic, the exact same model, and execute it like I did today. So in here, when we were trading, we were getting above this 4-hour SIBI and above the inversion. And we already took out sell side. We were displacing higher. I waited for the silver bullet, waited for a little bit of the sloppy range to dissipate, and we started to move higher. And I just got caught at the top, and then it rallied lower. So if you're wondering why some people kept asking me over and over again in the chat, look at the 1-hour dealing range, look at the 4-hour dealing range. I know where I'm at. I know exactly what I'm doing. And to me, at that point in time, again, we were above the 4-hour inefficiencies that were bearish, so we're disrespecting them. On the 1-hour, we were at this point in time, this is a full bullish candle. So at that point in time, I'm anticipating if we're above this SIBI, even this last little portion, but it's this entire SIBI from that low to that high in there, extended out in time. If I'm above the SIBI, this is a full bullish candle. In real time, I'm anticipating, well, we're above bullish PD rays. We're no longer respecting them, or we're above bearish PD rays. I'm sorry. We're above them. So we're not respecting them. We're rallying higher. And to me, I was going to attack the CPI high here. It's exactly what we did in the afternoon. So everything still played out exactly what I was anticipating. I was just, obviously a little bit early to the party, and that's all I could really say. There's nothing else that I could really adjust to it. In some people's eyes, they're like, man, that's such an easy loss to see coming. In my eyes, that's not what I was anticipating. So in the later portions of the silver bullet, I shorted down into this 1-hour BISI here, and then a beautiful reaction, we displaced higher. And it's exactly what I was anticipating originally. So it's a job well done by me. My analysis was still correct. And that's the pros and cons. You got to pull out the pros of, your losses and see what you did right, especially even in the aftermath. So in here, if you weren't in attendance, I was annotating how this could have possibly been a seek and destroy profile kind of tight range day. And I was being weary of that going into the range. And this is just a huge seek and destroy type of profile where you're taking out buy side, taking out sell side, taking out buy side, taking out sell side, then taking out buy side again. So it's a large whipsaw type of day. It's not a trending easy day where you can just jump into the market and just go long. And I was anticipating that today. I was anticipating really the smaller range to do what the bigger range ended up doing, where we took out buy side, sell side, rallied higher. I thought at that point in time, we've already taken out sell side. We're getting above those 4-hour bearish inefficiencies. Price is no longer bearish. Everything to me was lining up for me to take a long. And there was a few areas that I was looking at. This inefficiency here. I was looking at the 1 minute as well, where you have the inside of that 5 minute, you have this fair value gap there. I'll put the executions on. This is where I ended up entering to go long. It was actually in here. I wanted to go long on that first wick down, but I didn't get it. So in here, went long on that candle. My stop loss was underneath this low here because there's two inefficiencies. So to me, I'm going to place it underneath the second one. If we got underneath it, then I was invalidated. The trade was not right. And that's the reason why I do that, because that's the last point of interest. I'm not going to put it all the way down here. There's no reason to do that. That's the most logical reasonable stop loss to me. So all it really was taking out buy side liquidity again and dropping lower. So I couldn't see that in real time. And I'm sure some of you couldn't see that as well. And I want you to know that's normal. That's fine. You're never going to be able to always predict when you're going to take a loss. That's the reason why you don't over leverage, because you can't be 100% positive on a trade. I'm never 100% positive on a trade. I know that's news to some of you. You're never going to be 100% without a shadow of a doubt that you're going to win the trade. If that was so, then you would never put a stop loss. I would never put a stop loss. If I knew I was going to never lose, then I would never put a stop loss. But we all put stop losses because there's that uncertainty that anything can happen. So after I was stopped out, I was reevaluating, okay, what did I do wrong? Is there something that I wasn't seeing? And what I was seeing was, well, we took out buy side liquidity, and I was really just waiting for price to start respecting bearish PD rays and starting to get shifts lower for me to really confirm. Because after I take a loss, I'm not trying to just jump right back into this market. I'm not trying to get right back into the market. I'm trying to see with enough evidence that, okay, I was wrong. Let me readjust my analysis. Let me see if I can get back on side with order flow. And that's exactly what I did. Because there's a few areas in here where I could have went short, but I was really just being patient with it. I was seeing like, okay, is this really on side? Is this really trying to drop lower? Because in here, we got underneath this inversion. We utilized that, or we got underneath this BISI, utilized it as inversion, dropped lower, came back up into it. Look at the C of it. Utilized that as the inversion, dropped off lower. So what is that telling me? Well, I got stopped out on my bullish idea. So we're no longer respecting bullish PD rays. We're shifting underneath them, utilizing them as resistance, basically a inversion fair value gap. We displace lower again, attacking sell side. We come up into this little fair value gap there with the order block. We drop off lower again. And at that point in time, in my head, you can see me. I'm like, okay, this is, to me, it's really bearish. Now I was wrong on that idea. Let me just change the bias and what I was looking for. Ended up going short on this IOFED. We just wick up into the fair value gap and beautiful displacement lower right underneath the sell side liquidity here. So those relative equal lows. And then I was aiming towards a 15-minute inefficiency, which was residing over here, which was inside of a discount. I held on to the trade on live stream after we came off of this 1 minute fair value gap. We reached underneath sell side again. I took out another partial. And here I accidentally just clicked a button. I mean, you can see. So I didn't actually take that. And to me, that's a beautiful example. I can't put it any other way rather than saying is having the unfazed mentality where after you take a loss, you're just content with the idea that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay not to be perfect. Because if you pay attention to your risk management, your plan, you have such extreme confidence within that. I need you to understand that you need to have a solid plan. I know exactly what my plan looks like. I know exactly what my risk management, the numbers look like when they play out over a long period of time. Paying attention to that long-term mindset. When you take a loss inside of a session for 20 handles, it doesn't upset me. It's not something so dramatic to my life. And when I see that I was simply wrong, I know that I can just get back into the market as long as the logic's there. And you saw me do that. And you guys can all do that as well. It's just a learned skill set that you have to learn. And that's through time and obviously just experience. I'm trying to lend that to all of you. So hopefully it was a really good learning day for all of you. Again, these daily logs, I can only put so much into the video. I can't fit it all. There's a lot more in here that was probably described throughout the session. But as far as the PM session, I didn't trade anything. I wasn't even at the charts. I wasn't present. I moved away from it. I think that morning session, especially live stream, was already exhausting mentally. So I moved away from it. But I saw what ended up happening and playing out is we dropped down into this inefficiency, which I did mention. And I was keying off the idea today is the narrative is bullish. Why is that? Because the daily time frame is the parent, the weekly time frame is the parent. It's still in a bullish dealing range. So I was able to go short, even though it's counter the narrative, because in here, all price was doing was dropping down into a bullish dealing range, right? It was dropping down into this discount of a bullish dealing range. So it's still working within the narrative. It's just not on side with the narrative. The narrative is bullish. But in here, since I couldn't go long, I'm looking to short so price can drop down into the discount to then continue the narrative, which is bullish. So yes, you can counter the narrative, but to me, it's still working within the narrative. I understand that we're dropping down into the discount just to rally higher. So hopefully that makes sense if you're questioning on narrative and working within it. The highest probability would have been to just capture longs in here. And that's, you see the real move unfolded. I think the PM session and price action was just sloppy. It was not really super favorable, at least in my eyes. I'm not going to annotate it. But as far as tomorrow and what I'm seeing, I mean, we have a lot of red folders. I want to see how those play out. I'm not going to be executing before that. I'm still leaning on the idea that I'm bullish. Until I'm proven wrong, I'm going to lean on that idea. Because again, we're still inside of this daily dealing range. And that's just as simplistic as you can make it. I mean, it's that easy. You don't have to overcomplicate it all. I just want to look at one last thing. The daily time frame on dollar, if this thing moved off lower tomorrow for whatever particular reason, then yes, I'm going to stay really on side with the idea that index futures are moving higher. If dollar index reacts off of this inefficiency in here, right there, if it reacts off of this and displaces higher, then we have to look at the idea that index futures are going to move lower. Because if we get some rapid displacement on dollar that moves higher, index futures are going to move lower. So be aware of that going into tomorrow, especially with news. Things can move around really quickly and the board can shuffle. So you have to be prepared for it. That's why looking at both sides and keeping your mind open to that and not closing your mind off to the other side is very, very important. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. Hopefully it was helpful. Hope the live stream was helpful. Hopefully this whole week and all the content has been useful for all of you. So until tomorrow, I'll be live streaming 15 minutes before the open. Good luck and good trading, everybody. Be safe.